Welcome back to Meet the Psychologists. Today we're going to be learning about Lev Vygotsky. Vygotsky was born in 1896 and died in 1934. I believe Vygotsky's theory of education was shaped by his early life, which included being homeschooled by his mother and a private tutor. Vygotsky excelled in reading and had an outstanding memory. Vygotsky is known for the zone of proximal development, or ZPD. The zone of proximal development is defined as what a learner can do without help and what a learner can do with the help of a skilled partner or trainer, such as a teacher. The second thing Vygotsky is known for is his theory of education. According to Vygotsky, the goal of education is to learn through social learning, through internalization of culture and social relationships. With that being said, I question how Vygotsky came to that theory because he spent much of his early childhood being homeschooled. So he interacted with the same people every day. So I question how much social interaction he had with different people and different cultures. That means he spent a majority of his time around the same people, as I stated. My second critique is the ZPD, or the zone of proximal development, is unclear. It doesn't give an accurate picture of a child's learning needs, a child's present capability level, or a child's motivational influences. So my question is, what motivates a child to learn, or what motivates a child to do well in a certain class? Or how do we know where to begin with a child? For example, I teach third grade reading, and most of my students, they come in right there at third grade, or some of them are a little bit above third grade, or some of them are significantly lower than third grade. Using Vygotsky's theory of education, or the zone of proximal development, I question if I was to use this in my class, how would I know where to start my students out? How would I know what influences them? How would I know how to motivate them? As a teacher, I think it's important that we know our students and that we engage them in active learning. We don't want our time spent doing absolutely nothing, or we don't want our time spent to the point where our children go home and they feel like they haven't accomplished anything. So that's my second critique of Vygotsky's zone of proximal development. Where do we start? How does it give an accurate picture of a child's learning needs? If I have students that come into third grade and they're reading on grade level, how do I know that they're reading on grade level according to Vygotsky? How do I know that my students need help according to Vygotsky? The ZPD also doesn't explain the developmental process or exactly how development occurs. So with the ZPD, the zone of proximal development, it doesn't tell exactly how development occurs. It doesn't say that development occurs in stages. It doesn't say that by a certain age, students should be able to do this, a child should be able to do that. What it says is a child should be able to do this or this. In order to do this, did I have help to do it? In order to do this, did I do it by myself? So there's no gauging of what a child should be able to do by a certain point, or what a child shouldn't be able to do by a certain point, if that makes sense. So for an example, I have a 1-year-old daughter. Every time we go to the doctors for a well baby checkup, they tell us what she should be doing at that stage of her development. With the ZPD, there's no defined stage of development. Nothing says your child should be doing this at this time. It just says that your child should be developing. So there's no brackets. There's no goals to reach, rather. Finally, the final critique of Vygotsky's approach comes from Lou and Matthew. They state that Vygotsky's socio-cultural theory doesn't seem to apply to all social and cultural groups. Now I'm going to go to my notes that are on the screen. That is, social groups may not be whole and equal, with all learners being able to gain the same meaning from engagement. However, collaboration and participation vary from one learner to another, hence the inequality of each learner. As well, there are differences in skill set for each learner, which produces learning constraints. Learners with learning disabilities or learning difficulties, for example, might not be able to take away the same meaning from group interactions as those learners without learning disabilities or learning disabilities. learning disabilities and learning difficulties. Sorry. So that's a critique of Vygotsky's theory of education. His sociocultural and sociocultural groups, it kind of leaves out our students with learning disabilities and our students who have learning difficulties. There's no actual way to gauge that they're engaging in meaningful education. So that's something to think about. Do you agree or disagree with Vygotsky's approach? Well, there you have it, folks. That's the 411 on Lev Vygotsky. Back to the studio.